In the beginning of the drama, we see our female lead, Malin, who has been kidnapped. She is very scared, and her hands and eyes are tied. Malin is in a very dangerous place where it is dark all around. She is crying and counting, and at the same time, a car is also coming from behind her. Now we are shown a scene from one day earlier. Malin wakes up in the morning and makes breakfast for herself alone and eats it. On the table, the divorce papers of Malin and her husband Yen, who is our male lead, are kept. Malin works as an accountant in a bank. She gets ready and leaves for her office, and while leaving, she also turns off the lamp in her house. In the morning, all the employees in the bank take a pledge, which shows that the bank where Malin works follows very strict rules. While Malin is doing her work, she gets a call from her mom. Her mom says that her brother Hao's applying for a loan, but because his income is not high, he is not getting it. That is why they want to verify the information through Malin's company. Malin says that she will talk to her superior about it, but her mom forces her to talk immediately, because if the loan is not approved, it will affect Hao's marriage, and if this deal breaks, he will not even get the house. After hanging up the phone, Malin remembers her husband's words, who used to say that she should not live such a life. Malin goes to talk to her manager, Fong, about this matter. Nervously, she asks Fong to help her show a higher income certificate so that the loan can be approved as soon as possible. Fong also agrees to help her. Fong then tells her that he was the one who got her the job and that he is always ready to help her. But she is already married and has her own family. He knows that she is doing all this for her brother, but there should be a limit. After hearing Fong's words, Malin becomes a little uncomfortable. So Fong does not say much more, and Malin goes back to her work. In the news, it is shown that at exactly 1 a.m., a young female has gone missing from Saichin Street. The lady was last seen wearing a blue top, short skirt, and red heels. She was taken inside a white van. This becomes a topic of discussion in the office. An employee named Chin blames the girl and says that she should not have gone out alone at night wearing such clothes. All the other girls in the company say that Chin is wrong and that a girl can wear whatever she wants. Malin gives food to an employee named Jia. Jia tells her not to spoil everyone by serving them food. Then, in the office, an employee named Lian tells Malin that her shift is over and she has to go pick up her child, and Lian puts all her work on Malin and leaves early. Jia comes to Malin and says that Lian again left her work for her. She says she will tell Lian to take a day off tomorrow. Malin says that there is no need, because she is not in a hurry to go home anyway. Then Jia asks if her husband is not at home. Malin replies that he will come home today. Jia tells her that she and Hao are going to get married, and that she will come to Malin's house to give the invitation. Jia also tells Malin to go home early because the outside environment is unsafe. Malin suggests that Jia should wear long skirts and says that she should call Hao to pick her up. But Jia says that there is no need because she is already alert. Jia then takes out a contraceptive from her purse and gives it to Malin, saying that according to Only-Na experts, women should always keep it with them. Jia says that if anyone tries to force themselves on us, we should give it to them so that our chances of survival increase. Malin does not like this idea at all, but Jia forcefully puts it in her purse and leaves. Later, Malin again receives a call from her mom. Her mom tells her that the loan has been approved and the house contract has also been signed. Her brother has now gotten the house. Her mom then asks Malin to come home early and tells her that they have also cooked dishes for Yen. Malin stays quiet at that moment and does not tell her mom about the divorce. Malin tries to message Yen, but then unsends it again. She remembers the moment when Yen had placed the divorce agreement papers in front of her. Seeing this, she was shocked. Yen says that after the divorce, she can keep the house and that he will also pay her loan. Malin asks why he wants a divorce and whether he likes someone else. Yen denies it. Malin says that she will change herself, but Yen leaves without saying anything. Malin says that she does not agree to this and asks why he married her if he wanted a divorce anyway. Yen looks at the lamp and says that during their renovation, there was only one bulb, and he did not like it. But one day, she covered that bulb with plastic flower petals and asked him whether it feels nice, right? So I said yes. But one day I realized that those plastic petals were very weak and had started to get damaged. After that, I asked you to change the lamp, but you took too long to repair it, and in the end, only 3 petals were left. Malin apologizes to Yen, but Yen says that she cannot fix all the issues just by saying sorry. He asks whether she has ever thought about her own feeling nags or about their future. He tells her that she should not live such a life. Saying this, Yen leaves and says that he will never come back again and tells her to take care of herself. In the present scene, a worker accidentally drops Malin's purse and all her belongings get scattered on the floor. At that moment, The worker also notices the contraceptive that Jia had put in her bag. At night, Malin is working late in the office. She overhears a conversation between an employee and Miss Ning. The employee asks Ning whether Malin had a fight with her husband because earlier he used to come every day to pick her up. Ning tells him that they're getting divorced. Jia is in a relationship with Malin's brother Hao. Hao is about to get married, which is why he needed a house, but he did not have enough money. That is why Malin's family applied for a loan for him. The employee asks how she knows all this. Ning explains that Malin needed Fong's signature on her income proof and asked to show a higher income so that the loan could get approved easily. She had even requested Fong to especially not tell Jia about this matter. Ning also says that she thinks Malin is mentally weak because she cannot refuse others, and in the end, she will destroy herself. Fong informs all the employees that there is a dinner meeting that night with Mr. Zhen from Wanfu Properties. Fong says that everything will depend on how much they can drink so that the deal gets approved, and whoever does not attend the meeting will be fired from the job. At night, Zhen arrives with his secretary Hua. On the other hand, we see that Yen works at a car wash center. When it starts raining outside, he gets worried about Malin and leaves to pick her up from the office. During the dinner, Malin wants to message Yen to tell him that she has a dinner with her client and will be late, but she is unable to send the message, and Jin notices her using her phone. Jin tells Fong that his employee Malin is not respecting him. On everyone's insistence, Malin offers Jin a drink again. Jia goes to help Malin, but Fong makes her sit back in her seat. Now Jin asks Malin, in front of everyone, to drink, and Malin has to do all this for her company. In the end, Jin forcefully drinks with Malin. She gets extremely drunk, so Jia takes her away from there. Meanwhile, Yen comes outside Malin's office to pick her up, but when he does not see her there, he leaves. Malin's condition becomes very bad, and she is in the washroom. At that moment, her mom calls her and asks where she is. Malin lies and says that she is at home. Her mom says that she is already outside her house and tells her not to lie. She also realizes that Malin has been drinking. Malin says that she is doing all this for her job. Her mom then comes to know about Malin and Yan's divorce. Her mom starts saying that divorce is a very big thing for a woman, and after divorce, it becomes very difficult to get married again. She asks why she is getting a divorce. She says that Jia and Hao are going to get married and that Malin should also think about her brother's Feely Nag. She says that she does not agree with this divorce. Crying, Malin tells her mom that it is Yen who wants the divorce and that he does not want to continue this marriage. When Malin comes outside to call a cab, Jia overhears her conversation with her mom. Her mom asks whether Yen is angry because she took the loan for Hao, and if that is the case, she should talk to him and convince him. Malin asks what that means. She asks whether she cannot take a loan, whether Hao should not get his new house, and whether he should not get married. Her mom says that how can she say such things as an elder sister? Malin then shouts at her mom and asks what is the point of scolding her and whether she thinks that she wanted all this. Jia comes from outside and asks Malin if she is okay. Malin says yes and comes out. First, Malin thanks Jia and tells her that she and Hao should live a good life. She says that this is her life and that she does not know how to make it better, but she knows about their future. Jia asks her why she is talking like that, and then they both hug each other. Zhao comes there and apologizes to Malin, saying that because of him, she had to drink, and explains that dinner appointments are usually like this. Malin, getting emotional, tells Fong that when she came to look for a job, her age was already high and no one was ready to hire her, but because of him, she got this job. She keeps thanking Fong again and again. Fong replies that she has also helped him a lot in his work. Malin says that she will not let anyone feel embarrassed and that she will do everything for the company. Malin again goes to Jin with drinks and tries to convince him to work with the company, but Jin still does not agree. Then Malin and Jia both drink in front of Jin to impress him. Fong asks them to leave and tells Jin that no one can beat him in drinking. In the next scene, Malin's kidnapping is shown. She calls the Public Security Bureau and asks them to bring her a jacket. They ask her about her location, but she is extremely scared and does not know where she is. After that, we see Malin's mom making breakfast in her restaurant. She receives Malin's call and gets shocked. Her mom goes to the hospital and asks the receptionist about the gynecology department. She sees police officers standing outside that department. A police officer named Li Na asks Malin's mom whether she is her mother. Her mom asks where Maylin is and whether she is fine. Lee Na tells her not to worry and says that she is safe. Lee Na tells her mom that Maylin had called them at 6 a.m. asking for a jacket. Maylin was found outside the city, in the field. She was trying to hide there, and all her belongings were still with her. But she did not say a single word. That is why they brought her to the hospital for a checkup. Lee Na also says that their team is still looking for evidence at that place. Maylin's mom asks what evidence they are looking for and whether Maylin is fine. Lee Na says that after this incident, they believe that Maylin was assaulted. All her tests have been conducted, and once the reports come in, they will know what exactly happened to her and whether she was assaulted or not. Lee Na requests Maylin's mother to help make her feel comfortable so that she can talk to them. Her mother says that she knows her daughter very well and that she is a very good girl. She insists that there must be some misunderstanding and tells them to leave. The mother goes outside Maylin's room and asks the doctor to open the door. Lee Na tells her that they have not discussed Maylin's case with anyone so far. Angrily, the mother asks, "What case?" She says that Maylin only needed a jacket, which is why she called them, and that she has not even said anything yet. Inside, the doctors are examining Maylin, and she is extremely scared. Her mother says that to prove such claims, they will need evidence. She asks whether they know where Maylin was last night, because she knows that. She says that she had talked to her on the phone yesterday, and that Maylin had a fight with her husband. She also claims that she has proof of this, and that she does not want her daughter's reputation to be ruined. As soon as the doctors open the door, the mother goes inside and asks Maylin if she is okay, saying that she has come now and that they are going home. But Maylin does not respond. After that, the mother apologizes to the doctor for her behavior and asks about the test results. She tells them that they do not want to file a police report. The doctors then take Maylin to the recovery room. Lee Na tells the mother that they will have to wait for the report so that it can be confirmed what exactly happened to Maylin. The mother again starts arguing with Lee Na, saying that they are ruining her daughter's life. Lee Na tries to explain that she cannot make this decision alone and that she needs to cooperate with them. Captain Jiang, Lee Na's senior inspector, comes to call Lee Na, and she goes outside with him. Now the mother asks Maylin if she is okay, but Maylin is still depressed. The mother asks whether something really happened to her last night. Seeing Maylin's face, the mother realizes that she was assaulted and becomes emotional. She says that now Maylin is safe and has not been harmed, so she should let this matter go. She tells her to believe that nothing happened to her and that she should not report this to the police. The mother forces Maylin to tell the police that she had a fight with her husband and says that at that time, the most important thing is to protect herself. She insists that this matter should remain only between the two of them. She warns that if people find out, they do not know how others will look at her, and that her entire life will be ruined. The mother also says that she knows this is unfair to her, but it is for her own good, and even if the culprit is caught, he will stay in jail only for a few days and then come out. People will just think that she was drunk that night. Maylin says that it was a company dinner and that she is not joking. Her mother replies that she trusts her, but other people will not. Quietly, the mother takes Maylin home. Meanwhile, Lee Na and Jin are talking when Maylin's brother Hao, who is a lawyer, arrives to get information about the case. Jin tells Hao to leave. Inside, Maylin and her mother hear all of this, and Maylin starts crying. She comes outside and tells Lee Na that she is going home and thanks her for the jacket. Lee Na says that all the tests are not done yet and that she wants Maylin to come to the station and give her statement. Maylin apologizes to Lee Na and says that she had a fight with her husband and that they cannot help her in this matter. Maylin's mother forcefully takes her away. Lee Na tries to stop them, but Jin tells her not to force them. Lee Na remarks that she wonders what kind of mother she is. Later, Lee Na and Jin are at a restaurant. Lee Na is still talking about Maylin's case, but Jin says that Maylin has not given any statement, so they cannot do anything. Lee Na gets angry and leaves. At home, Maylin's father arrives and asks when she came back. The mother tells him that Maylin had a fight with Yen. The father says that after a fight, she should not have left Yen like that, and should have tried to explain things to him and patch things up again. He adds that his birthday is coming up in a few days and asks Maylin to invite Yen to come. After that, Maylin calls Fong. Fong says that since she was not going to come to the office today, she should have informed him earlier. Maylin apologizes and tells him that because she drank too much last night, she had to go to the hospital. Fong explains that Jin was their client, which is why he could not stop him at that time. He says that he did try, but Jin did not agree, and he apologizes to Maylin. Fong asks Maylin to rest and to come to the office from tomorrow. At home, Hao also arrives. He asks Maylin why she came home today. Maylin tells him that she had gone to the hospital and saw him there. Hao says that he found out that a very big case had happened there and that all the police officers were present. He thinks it must be a rape case. Maylin asks whether he saw the victim, and Hao says no. Maylin says that it is very difficult to win such cases. Hao tries to explain to Maylin that through biological examination, they can prove that something wrong happened to the person, but they cannot prove whether it happened forcibly. That is why very strong evidence is required. He also says that during this process, the accused person can be falsely blamed, which ruins their reputation. Hao adds that whether such cases are reported or not, they are extremely painful for the victim, and that the victim should try to forget everything as if nothing ever happened. Next, Jin goes to Yan's shop to collect his car. Yan asks him why there was so much mud on the car. Jin says that he took the car to an area outside the city. Yan suggests changing the car's tires. After that, Jin shows him a mark of a vehicle tire on his phone. Seeing the mark, Yan says that it belongs to an old model vehicle's tire mark. After that, Hao comes to drop Maylin at her home and tells her that she should talk to Yen and end their fight. As soon as Maylin enters her house, she turns on all the lights and closes the curtains. Sitting in her room, she starts thinking about the dinner night and the incident that happened to her. While thinking continuously, morning arrives, and she is still sitting in her room. Maylin receives a message about loan repayment, because of which she gets ready and goes to the office. Instead of her uniform, she wears black, full-length clothes. While leaving, she remembers that on the dinner night, when she was drinking, she had requested Fong to safely drop both her and Jia home. At the office, Fong asks Maylin where her uniform is. She says that she forgot it. Fong tells her that it is okay, but not to forget it from tomorrow. Maylin then asks Fong whether he had dropped her home after the dinner night. Fong explains that he first dropped Jia and then Maylin. But before reaching her house, he got a call from his wife, and they started arguing. Because of that, Maylin herself got down from the car before reaching her complex. Now Maylin goes and confirms this with Jia, asking whether Fong had dropped both of them together that day. Jia says yes, and that she had also asked Maylin to call her after reaching home. Maylin becomes very depressed at the office. She starts remembering her mother's words. Her mother had asked whether she saw that man's face. Maylin had denied it and had also told her not to tell anything about this to Yen because he would never support her. In the next scene, Maylin's mother goes to meet Yen at his shop. She finds out that Yen often sleeps at the shop itself and asks him about it. He says that because of too much work, he sometimes rests there. The mother has brought food with her and tells him to take it home and eat it together with Maylin. Yen asks her whether she wants to ask him something. The mother asks whether he wants to tell her something, but he denies it. After that, the mother invites him to come home for a meal and, while leaving, tells him that Hao's wedding is going to happen very soon. She says that she will not have much to worry about anymore, and that she only wishes for Maylin and Yen to have a baby. At the office, Lien, as usual, hands over her work to Maylin and leaves. This time, Maylin says that she cannot do it because she needs to go home before it gets dark. Lien tells her to finish the work before it gets dark, but Maylin does not do Lien's work. At Yan's shop, his friend Jian asks why he's been sleeping there for days and whether he fought with his wife. Yen denies it but won't explain further. The next day, Lien confronts Maylin at the office for not completing her work. Lien forcefully takes Maylin to the warehouse and threatens her, saying she had to submit papers to the bank that day. Lien mentions that Maylin enjoyed drinks with Jin and warns that she must apologize to Ning or leave the company. Maylin starts crying. Lien taunts her, asking if her husband knows about this. As Lien leaves, Maylin slaps her and says she won't apologize. Lien attacks back, and Jia intervenes to protect Maylin, suggesting they call the police. At the police station, Jia calls Yen about the fight. When Yen arrives, Lien demands an apology. Yen starts giving Lien money, but Maylin stands up and apologizes herself. However, when Yen sees injury marks on Maylin's hand, he gets angry and forces Lien to apologize to Maylin instead. Outside, Maylin apologizes to Yen for the trouble. Yen tells her never to apologize if she hasn't made a mistake. He mentions her dad invited them to his birthday, but Maylin says she'll tell her parents about their situation at the right time and asks him to take the divorce papers home. Yen notices a car tire mark he'd seen before that Jin had asked about. He photographs it and sends it to Jin. Fong picks up Malin and says Lien wants the company to take strict action, so he needs Malin to take a few days off. Malin insists she did nothing wrong. Fong explains Lien also attacked her, but Malin points out he ignored that. Suddenly, Malin hears a white van passing and suspects it was the same car from the night something wrong happened to her. She gets scared and leaves the car alone. Later, Fong tells Malin the company must take action against her for fighting with Lien. He says he hired her thinking she was smart and obedient. Fong tells her to take a break and not come to work anymore. Malin goes home, tears her uniform, and drinks heavily. Jia meets Yen at a restaurant and tells him Malin was fired. She explains Malin's difficult life, how her mother made her work early to support her brother Hao's education. Yet Malin continued studying without asking for money. Jia becomes emotional, saying all Malin's hard work has gone to waste and that she needs support. When she asks if Yen has feelings for Malin, he responds that everyone has problems and Malin had given up on life. Jia counters that Malin hasn't given up. She's under enormous burden and still trying. That night, Yen remembers when Malin gave a motivational speech in school about changing one's fate through hard work. At midnight, Jin shows Yen video footage. First, a clip where something wrong happened to Malin with a car parked nearby. Then an earlier clip of drunk Malin telling Jia she wants to spend her life only with Yen. When a car comes to pick them up, Yen confirms it's the same car from the farm. Realizing what happened to Malin, Yen goes to her office. The next morning, he confronts Fong and starts beating him. Fong admits the car is his but claims Malin did everything willingly. She was drunk, sat in his car, and told him she liked him. He says he can prove it in court. Yen says Fong chose Malin because he thought she wouldn't report it, and promises to force him to pay for what he did. Office employees tell Jia that Yen beat Fong. Hao calls, and Jia informs him Malin was fired. Hao asks Jia to stop Fong from filing a police report. Yen drives frantically, realizing how wrong he's been with Malin. He reaches their home and finds Malin scared to see him. She quickly tries to tidy up. Yen asks when she started drinking and what's happening with her. Malin deflects, bringing out the divorce papers. Yen asks why she suddenly agreed to divorce. He then directly asks what happened on April 9th, the company drinking event where she was in Fong's car with Jia, then taken to the canola field. After regaining consciousness, she called police, but withdrew the report. He asks who was behind this and if it was Fong. Malin says she doesn't remember clearly. She explains she drank at the gathering. Then her mom called about the divorce, which made her drink more. Fong offered to drive her home and told her to get out near home, but she doesn't remember what happened next. She woke up in the fields and called police. Yen says the police can help, but Malin refuses, saying people will blame her and she'll just forget about it. She signs the divorce papers, saying she did wrong to him. Yen takes the papers and says, "You were just coming home after work." He tries to take her to the police, but Malin refuses, saying if they stay calm, it will end. Yen explains she'll spend half her life thinking about why it happened while the perpetrator lives well. Malin says her mom told her to accept her fate. Yen reminds her that fate can be changed. She just needs to try to win once. Malin breaks down, pointing out her shortcomings and failures despite her effort. She says she just wants to live like an ordinary person with no fights or expectations. Yen hugs her and says, "From the outside you said you gave up, but inside you don't want to. If you want to live like an ordinary person, come with me and report to police." As Yen takes her hand, Hao arrives. He says even telling police their chances of winning are low. Yen gets angry, asking if a lawyer should talk like that. Hao says he can't let Malin fight a lost case. People will point fingers because she was drunk and say she seduced someone. He tells Yen to divorce Malin if he can't accept it, as he won't see his sister destroyed. Malin asks Hao if he saw her at the hospital. He confirms. Malin tells Yen violence won't solve anything and asks them both to leave. Outside, Yen confronts Hao, saying he and their mom already knew. He accuses Hao of being weak, always asking money from Malin while she took loans for him. Yen says if Hao had acted like a man, Malin wouldn't be in this situation. He realizes Malin's life is this way because of her whole family and himself. Hao says he hopes Malin remains the person he's always admired, and if they're not coming to the birthday, he'll tell their parents about the divorce. The next morning, Yen finds Malin's phone off and discovers many medicines at home. He finds her unconscious in the bathroom and rushes her to the hospital. In her unconscious state, she says, "I want to fight. But whenever I try to gather courage, someone stops me." Yen tells her not to be afraid. She says, "I have tried very hard to win." Flashback to Malin's past. Young Malin gives a speech at school about the best is always yet to come. At home, Her mom calls her to help at the food stall instead of going to school, saying they paid for house placement fees and can't afford both. Malin protests, but her mom insists, saying she's lucky to have studied this far. When Malin asks why How can study but not her, her mom says, because you're a girl. You'll get married. Your brother is the hope for the family. Malin works at the food stall when her school friends ask why she dropped out despite good grades. She doesn't answer. Mr. Young tells Malin she can return to school with financial aid money from an anonymous donor. Young asks how she'll manage college, and Malin says she'll take loans and do part-time work. Malin works hard and gets into college in 2013. She tells roommates about an interview at a big company. Her mom calls asking when she's coming home, saying she found a job for her, but Malin refuses. Malin works temporarily at the company, never refusing any work. Manager Tion is impressed and offers her a permanent job. Her mom messages that she's working for little money and ignoring the family. When Malin is at work, her mom arrives and tries to meet her. The receptionist stops her, but mom sees Malin working like a servant. She goes into the meeting room and creates a scene, saying her daughter does all the work alone. Malin takes her outside, explaining her job is about to become permanent. Mom demands she come home and threatens to follow her everywhere. When Malin refuses, Mom returns to the meeting room and tells the boss Malin is leaving. Malin's boss immediately fires her. With no money or place to stay after her landlord throws out her belongings, Malin spends nights at a gaming cafe and applies to many companies without success. One night while carrying her belongings, she falls and loses consciousness. At the hospital, Malin regains consciousness and apologizes to Yen. He says he should apologize. He was waiting downstairs that night, but left when he saw the lights off, thinking she was home. If he'd called, none of this would have happened. Malin says it wasn't his fault and tells him she wants to file a police report. Yen agrees, saying they'll wait until she's discharged. He promises she'll win and get justice, and he won't let anyone speak against her because she did nothing wrong. He's her husband, and he's with her. Malin's family arrives at the hospital after learning she's there. Yen tells them it was alcohol poisoning. Dad asks why Yen didn't take care of her. In the morning, Yen tells How that their family acts like they care only when Malin is in trouble. How explains their family's different mindset. Mom cares deeply, but believes men must live a certain way. He says if Malin files a report, it will affect him too, and she'll be repeatedly called to give statements, reliving painful moments with a high chance of losing. That's why he doesn't want his sister to sacrifice so much. Yen argues that without justice, people can't live properly. Others will bully Malin, and how can she accept this world? He says Malin is ready to go to the police station despite the difficulties. Mom discovers Malin has left the hospital. Everyone searches for her. Mom finds and tries to stop her. Malin announces she's going to file a police report about what happened on April 9th. Dad and Jia are shocked. Mom says even if the perpetrator is caught, Malin's purity won't be restored. And what will others say? Malin responds that both options involve pain, hearing gossip or remaining silent. So why stay quiet? Mom argues life suppresses feelings this way. And what about the family? What will people say about Hao's upcoming marriage? She calls Malin selfish for thinking only of herself. Malin counters emotionally. After her birth, they wanted a son and left her in the village for 3 years. When Dad lost his job, she was blamed for being unlucky. They wanted Hao in a good school, but gave her no money for education. After graduation, Mom came and created a scene at her job, forcing her to come home. Mom never asked about her or Yen after marriage, but now wants money for Hao's wedding. Malin says she expects nothing from them. She only wants justice. Mom protests that she gave birth to and raised Malin. Malin says she's no longer afraid and will make that person go to jail, asking if Mom truly considers her a daughter. Hao now says he'll go with Malin to the police station and apologizes. He admits he knew everything but lacked courage to face it. He thought if he didn't acknowledge it, he wouldn't feel guilty. He believed he deserved the benefits Malin was given. He says the law fights against evil. It's never easy, but someone must take that path. Hao tells Malin, no matter the result, you're not wrong. Malin thanks him, and they go to the police station together. At the hospital, Dad asks Mom why she hid such important information. Mom deflects, and Dad says if anything happens to Malin, Mom will be as responsible as a rapist. Mom replies that filling a report won't restore their daughter's reputation, and this is just the beginning of trouble. At the police station, Malin files her report, explaining she was raped. The police ask detailed questions, and Malin becomes distressed. She tells them everything about being blindfolded, the assault, and the threats to kill her. Jin comes out with Malin and meets Yen and Hao. They realize Malin is Jin's contact. Police tell Malin to rest while they investigate. On the way home, Hao says he'll talk to his mentor for help with the case. Malin thinks to herself that finally her future is no longer in darkness. Jia cries and apologizes for sending Malin home that night. Malin reassures her, saying if Fong had dropped Malin first, Jia would be apologizing instead. Yen brings food for Malin and personally feeds her. The next day, police go to Fong's office for questioning. Fong is cooperative but nervous. He insists on his innocence when taken for questioning. Meanwhile, Malin wakes up scared in the hospital and sees Yen sleeping beside her. Later, Mom brings food, but overhears hospital gossip about the police taking the Foshing company manager. Mom tells Malin to go to her ward. During interrogation, Fong denies everything. He claims he and Malin are colleagues, that he helped her get the job out of pity for her poor background, and even created a fake income statement to help her get a loan for her brother's wedding. He says he treats all employees the same and tried to control drinking at the company dinner. He mentions giving Malin time off when her brother was unwell. Jin notes that Fong's statement sounds prepared. If he'd done something wrong, he'd have the perfect lie ready. Police question other employees and Ning about April 9th. Everyone speaks well of Fong, saying he always helps others. At home, everyone now knows what happened to Malin. People message and call her. She becomes very sad, so Yen takes her to the terrace. He shares his own difficult times after finishing school, how senior employees bullied him, and how he'd do 200 push-ups daily to stay strong and learn boxing. He teaches Malin to box, and she releases her anger through the exercise. They have a moment of connection, discussing why they married each other. Yen says she's a university graduate, and Malin responds he's the boss of a workshop. They laugh together. Yen then drives Malin to the city where she previously worked. They end up by the sea after Malin takes a wrong highway. While looking for a fuel station, they talk about Yan's past. He barely remembers his parents, who always worked away. He lived with his brother and grandfather, and other village kids bullied him. Only his brother protected him. Yan teaches Malin how to fight back if someone bullies her. He says when they win the court case, they'll sell the house and live by the sea. Meanwhile, Fong remains in police custody, growing angry about being held without more questions. Ning visits Malin, advising her to forgive Fong privately rather than keeping him in jail, as it harms the company's and Malin's reputation. She suggests Malin think about her parents and how this affects her husband and Jia's job. Malin asks why Ning is trying to scare her. Ning claims it's for Malin's good, but Malin dismisses her, explaining that once a criminal case is open, she can't drop it. That night, Yen sleeps on the floor while Malin takes the bed. They talk about past relationships. Yen admits there was someone he thought about being with and wanted them to have a good life. Li Na brings the forensic report to Jin. Tissue from Malin's fingernail matches Fong's DNA. When police confront Fong with this evidence, he changes his story. He claims Malin wanted him to force her because she was unhappy with her husband. After dropping Jia, Malin asked to get fresh air, so he took her to flower fields where she confessed she liked him and asked for money. When he refused, she threatened to file a police complaint. Lina asks why he didn't tell them earlier. Fong says both families were involved, so out of shame, he didn't tell anyone. Despite all evidence against him, Fong maintains his innocence, saying they can ask Malin herself. Lina expresses frustration with the investigation strategy, but Jin reminds her they can't conduct investigations with such a temper or decide guilt before the verdict. After Li Na admits her own mistake in showing data to Yen, Jin tells her to find new evidence. They decide to call Malin again for her statement. At the station, Malin denies any relationship with Fong outside work, but acknowledges being grateful he helped her get the job and loan approval. She mentions calling him after the incident to request leave, saying she'd never drunk that much before. The next day, Yen tells Malin about a bookkeeper job at his friend's water plant. Malin goes for the interview, but when the director realizes she's the girl from the assault case, he becomes uncomfortable. Despite his friend Kang's defense, the director rejects her. Before leaving, Kang tells Malin he grew up with Yen, who is a very good person, and she should take care of him. At Yen's shop, two men come complaining about their car repair. They later recognize Malin from their chat group and whisper about her. The men argue with Yen, who tries to hit them, but Jian and Malin stop him. The men threaten them and leave. Yen tells Malin not to take their words to heart. Once the case is over, they'll leave this place. Later, Malin, Yen, and Jian eat together. Malin learns Yen has read many books and buys them when bored with work. She realizes she doesn't know him well and feels bad. Jian says she has plenty of time to understand him. Malin gets a call from the company asking her to come in. Despite Jian's warning, Malin decides to go, wanting to hear what they'll say. Yen agrees to accompany her on his motorcycle, which he'd set aside after marriage, worried she'd find it dangerous. Yen asks if Malin recorded the conversation on her phone. At the company, Malin meets with Ning, Jia, and Fong's wife Shin, who offer her money. Ning suggests this will cover her loan with a surplus. When Malin asks if this is compensation, Ning says once she takes the money, she must explain everything clearly, that she accused Fong and damaged the company's reputation. Malin realizes they think she trapped Fong and need money. She shouts that police arrested Fong, so they should tell this to police. Shin gets angry and leaves. Ning tries to convince Malin alone, warning that her life will be very difficult. She won't get jobs. No one will believe her. The only path is to apologize and rejoin the company. Malin throws the money on the table, saying she cannot accept this injustice. She cannot see herself in pain while her offender walks free. Ning says her path will be very difficult. Malin responds that someone has to take this path. She warns that firing Jia would be wrong, then reveals she recorded everything and will make it viral, showing how they tried to force a victim to retract her statement. Outside, Yen asks what happened. Malin says she insulted them because they tried to scare her. Yen says they're celebrating because she's finally growing stronger. Malin reflects that she's no longer the old Malin. She's the new Malin who fears no one. She asks why many people support bad people instead of good ones. Yen explains people in her company take Fong's side for their own profile. When Malin asks why Yen is on her side, remembering he said he liked someone, he doesn't directly answer. Malin tells him to finalize the divorce, saying he's done enough and she doesn't want to be a burden. Yen says he doesn't want to finalize it. Malin insists she can do everything without him. Yen asks, "Do you really want me to shout it out loud?" implying his feelings for her. Later, Shin tells Jia that given Malin's behavior pushing the matter forward, they need to hire the best lawyer. Once Fong is found guilty, he'll be severely punished. Shin says she trusts Fong wouldn't do such a thing, and they must hire the best lawyer. Yoon Hong explains Fong confessed to police he was intimate with Malin, but denied forcing himself, claiming Malin asked him to do it. Shin says money is no object and promises to see how long Malin can lie. Hong warns that trying to give Malin's brother money could affect the case. Meanwhile, Hao confronts Hong about taking Fong's case, asking why he'd try to save a rapist who ruined his sister's life. Hong explains that if he didn't take it, someone else would. Hao gets angry, saying he won't work at the law firm anymore and will hire the best lawyer for his sister. "See you in court," he says. Kong invites Yen to lunch with friends who force him to drink, but he refuses, saying he has work. They remind him that before his grandfather died, he said they should help each other like real siblings. They offer support if he has any trouble. Meanwhile, Shin tells Malin she researched her background and shares that she also didn't have children after marriage, but gave birth to Jing through IVF. She shows Malin Jing's picture and asks what will happen to their family if Fong goes to jail. If Jing knows her father is a rapist, her life will be ruined. Shin says they can solve this many ways and asks Malin's condition. Malin responds that her life was ruined too, and her only condition is that her offender be punished. When Shin argues Malin would hurt her innocent daughter, Malin asks if Shin would tell her own daughter to forgive a criminal. "I know you wouldn't, and that's my answer too. I will never forgive him." Yen calls Malin asking where she is. When he sees her, he hugs her emotionally and asks if she's ever lived such a difficult life before. Malin says life became easier just because he asked. He says from today, he'll share her burdens. Jia and Hao go out for dinner. Hao explains he resigned because his mentor became Fong's lawyer, but tells her not to worry or tell his parents. Jia says Malin helped them so much, and now they must support her. The next day, Malin and Yen discover someone wrote things about Malin on their wall. People talk about them. The same writings appear at Yen's shop. People message Malin accusing her of seducing Fong. Later, someone comes to write on their wall again. Yen catches and beats them, asking who hired them. Malin reports everything to Li Na at the police station. Li Na advises not to pay attention and to immediately inform them if Shin or anyone from her side tries to contact her. The Market Regulation Bureau checks Yan's shop after a complaint about illegal materials, but finds nothing wrong. It was a false complaint. Meanwhile, someone touches Malin from a vehicle and drives away. That night, Yen suggests moving their home, but Malin says she likes stashing there, so he agrees. Jin and Li Na visit Shin, informing informing her that Malin filed a harassment report. Shin denies involvement and says her lawyer already explained this. When they ask about Fong's friends, she claims not to know since she's been focused on her children. Jin warns that if anyone is trying to scare Malin, they'll arrest them too. At that moment, Jin comes out crying, telling police not to take her mom. At night, Malin tells Yen she plans to take the CPA exam next year. If she passes, they'll move to another city together and start a new workshop. Yen holds her hand, reassuring her he's with her. Ning and Jia try to convince Shin to make Malin withdraw the case, offering her an increment. Shin gets angry and quits, saying she won't work in a company that supports wrongdoers. Despite Ning warning about loan difficulties, Shin leaves, call it a stupid company. Malin apologizes to Shin over the phone, but Shin says she should apologize for trusting Fang that day. She says they'll show them what they're capable of. Malin shows police the recording from the company. Jin says this is very important evidence and asks why she didn't give it earlier. Malin explains she didn't want to involve others, but they went too far. Lee Na tells her she did well and should always collect evidence with no need to be afraid. Ning, Jia, and Shin are called to the police station. Jia apologizes to Malin in front of everyone. Ning denies asking anyone to harass her. When Shin tries to speak privately with Malin, Malin asks if she isn't tired and leaves. Outside Yen's shop, someone again writes things about Malin. Yen and Malin clean it together. Seeing this, neighbors come to help, making Malin emotional. Malin receives a call from her dad saying mom is unwell. At home, she hears how arguing with dad about selling the house to fight Malin's case, saying he'll stay single and support his sister. Dad questions if this is what Mom and Shin want. Malin asks Shin if she was involved. Shin says she's taking revenge and should ask how and Jia herself. Mom is in bed and Malin suggests going to the hospital, but Mom refuses. Mom reflects on raising Malin and her resentment about property going to uncle despite caring for grandmother. Malin tells Mom she knows Mom loves her, but not like how, and that Mom is also jealous. Mom protests. Malin explains that Mom can't accept she's not living the way Mom did, times have changed, and Hao and Yen support her now. Mom says if times changed, why is she still struggling in bed? She admits treating Hao better because he's a boy, but tells Malin to forget what happened and move on. Yen tells Malin to go home quickly because Lena called. Someone was spotted near the station and could approach them. They leave and see media caught them, but manage to escape and hide. Malin calls Dad, who reassures her that Hao called police and not to worry. Malin checks her phone and sees everyone commenting against Fong, demanding harsh punishment. Rui calls asking if Malin contacted media. Malin denies it, and Rui accuses her of being at fault too before hanging up. Hao tells Malin not to check her phone. They're doing this because they're afraid of her. Dad asks why Malin is so stubborn, saying if she'd talked to Fong's family, the problem would be solved. Hao defends her, saying she'll get justice no matter how long it takes. Dad asks about money, and Hao admits he'll have to sell their house. He apologizes to Shin, who hugs him saying she doesn't care about the house. They're young and will earn money together. As long as they love each other, that's enough. The next day, Malin is called to the police station. On the way, Lee Na tells her they worked hard and now it's in their hands. She should move forward now. Malin says she's preparing for her exam and looks at all the news on her laptop. People message her saying she's brave. Her mind gets distracted. Rui remembers Fong told their lawyer Hong to ask her to clean Jing's piano trophy. She notices something wrong with it and breaks it open, finding a pen drive inside. When she watches the video, she's shocked. The next day is the trial. Malin is nervous. Yen reassures her they've come far and many people support her. Meanwhile, Jing cries missing her dad. Rui promises her dad will return soon. Mom looks at Malin's childhood awards and photos. A flashback shows when Mom gave birth to Malin. Grandma was upset wanting a boy. Dad told Mom that Grandma would take the girl and Mom should quit her job. Mom had no choice. Later scenes show Mom not reacting much to Malin's academic achievements while favoring Hao. In the present, everyone goes to court together. Hao says parents were worried, so they came. Mom says their family should go together. At court, media crowds take pictures. Rui arrives with Jing and tries to throw mud at Malin, but Yen intervenes and it falls on Rui instead. Rui insults Malin and plays an audio clip, asking, "Does this sound like rape?" Everyone is shocked. At the police station, Malin tries to leave, but everyone stops her. Mom slaps her, saying because of Yen, they've had to travel so much with people pointing fingers. She tells Malin she chose this path and must finish it. Yen tells Malin the news is already out. If they retreat now, they'll never clear their name. She did nothing wrong. Only when the guilty apologizes will they get justice. No edited photo or video can hide the truth. Police inform them the hearing is postponed because the other side provided new proof. They'll inform them of the new date. Hao reassures everyone this is part of the normal process and they must not give up. Audio recordings can be edited, and courts verify these forensically. At home, Malin asks Yen how he felt after hearing the audio. He says he wasn't thinking about it. She asks if he trusts and loves her now. Yen kisses her and says, "I love you." Malin cries and hugs him. That night, they talk. Malin says she was scared and her mind wasn't settled. What if she hadn't called police and taken the money? Would that have been right? Yen replies that if she hadn't called police, they wouldn't have even discussed money. He shares that his dad was timid, but stood up for him and his brother when they were bullied. Yen says calling police can stop someone from doing wrong, and if Malin hadn't filed the report, her family's peace would have been disturbed. She must win, or her ending could be like his. Jia tells Shin they'll cover any losses. Rui says there's still an important witness. Jia goes to meet her client Miss Hua, but discovers Hua finalized a deal with Wan instead. When Jia confronts Wan says the manager told her to do it and tells Jia to speak with them. Jia tries to stop Wan, who says everyone knows what she did leaving her drunk sister-in-law in the car. How irresponsible. Who would trust you? At home, Jia checks her phone and sees comments accusing her of being with a rapist. Meanwhile, Malin and Yen make a lamp together. Yen tells her that after the court hearing, they'll see the whole world. The next day, Malin's hearing begins. Media gathers outside. Hong tells Hao he'll invite the other family for a meal as an apology. Hao jokes he'll be the one apologizing. Malin enters court with her family. Hao tells her not to be afraid. Yen assures her they'll definitely win. Jia is taken to the waiting room, and Malin thanks her, saying after today it will all end. Hao tells Malin the hearing affects not only her life, but Yen's too. He has lived a lonely battle questioning the world's rule. Winning this case will give him the answer he seeks. The hearing begins. Police bring Fong. Yan's family sits outside. He tells them he's going outside with Jin and will return if needed. Outside, Jin explains that if the other side doesn't pursue, the case closes, but if reviewed and the criminal is proven guilty, court proceeds. Yen asks if they'll win. Jin says he just wants them not to be disappointed. Fong testifies about April 9th, explaining the dinner scenario with Malin. He claims Malin wanted to go to canola fields because her husband was planning divorce. He describes how the encounter happened and says he lost control. Police ask about the new evidence, videos and recordings on his phone. Fong says he got scared because both families were involved and thought Malin was scamming him. Yen tells Jin that when he first found out Malin was the victim, he thought she was weak and being bullied. Hearing her voice in the video made him realize how much she endured. He admits he sometimes lacked courage too, but Malin knew everything would happen and still did it. Company employees Yuang and Li Na testify. Malin is called to court and describes the night Fong blindfolded her, threw her from the car, and threatened her. She trusted her colleagues at dinner and drank because everyone was watching. Hong asks why she didn't tell police then. Malin says her mom told her not reporting would minimize suffering. When Hong asks about contraceptives in her bag, she explains Jia had them and she was blindfolded, not seeing anyone's face. Lei Yun asks Malin if she tried to protect herself. Malin explains that she scratched the person and cried for help, but he forced her to comply, threatening to kill her. Hong presses about her intentions, pointing to her low salary, loans, and her husband's modest car repair business. The judge calls Malin back to the courtroom. Jia is then called. She recounts leaving the car and telling Malin to message her when she reached home. Lei Yun asks if her brother was drunk that night. Shin recalls comments about her irresponsibility and reassures the court that Malin could recognize everyone and was capable of calling for help, so leaving her alone felt safe. The court asks if Malin was sober when last seen. Jia confirms she was, explaining that Malin had drunk before and spoke unusually that night. Hong questions whether Jia gave Malin contraceptives. She lies, claiming she didn't. Hua interrupts, urging truthfulness. Jia admits that people reveal things while drinking, and Malin shared personal family struggle. Hua is shocked and asked to leave. Yulong presents photos of scratch marks on Fong's body. The police clarify that the photos of Fong and Malin don't fully depict the real situation. Lawyers argue, presenting evidence to support their clients. The judge listens carefully and calls Hua to speak. Emotionally, Hua declares, Maylin is my sister. She has always been careful, liked beauty, but never crossed limits. She wore modest makeup, avoided going out alone at night, and always asked family or her husband to drive. During the incident, she wore her uniform and, even in summer, covered herself. She called the police requesting protection, seeking justice, not money. Filing a case requires courage. Justice should not break that courage. The judge concludes the debate, stating the court will decide after reviewing all evidence. The hearing ends. Outside, Zhang asks Yen about his plans after the case. Yen says he may move to another city, depending on Maylin, and insists he would never accept her marrying someone else. They discuss whether Yen knew Maylin before matchmaking. He denies it. Hua reports that Jia changed her statement, claiming she didn't give Maylin contraceptive. The court announces its verdict: insufficient evidence against Fong, so he is declared innocent and released. Everyone is shocked. Yen cannot accept it. Jia faints. Fong rejoices, interacts with the media, and thanks his wife for support, hoping his case sets an example. Maylin's mother furiously hears Fong's statements and tries to attack him, sparking a fight between Fong and Maylin's family. Maylin intervenes, scratching Fong, who pushes her. Yuang arrives to control the situation. Yen protects Maylin as she cries, facing Fong and Shu. Meanwhile, Li Na cries in her office. Yuang reminds her not to get emotionally involved as a police officer. Li Na acknowledges being human and understands that the court must base decisions on evidence. Yuang encourages her to continue investigating, as the case isn't over. Maylin's family remains devastated. She sits alone, silently watching events unfold. Fong returns home and meets Yuang, who reminds him people accused him of wrongdoing. He angrily denies it, thanks the court, and promises to act responsibly in the future. Yuang scolds Fong for putting unnecessary items inside her daughter's trophy. She slaps him, warning that without her, he would still be in jail. Fong apologizes, bowing at her feet, promising to take care of Shin and Yuang and offering all he has. Shin tells him she helped him so he could be a good father. Fong inquires about the pen drive. Shin cryptically says he will never find out. Next, Jia gives an interview. She confirms that Maylin messaged her after reaching home safely and explains that that night's drinking led to revealing conversation. She mentions selling her house and cutting ties with Maylin's family due to the case. Hua watches the live video and leaves home silently, troubled by the revelation. Maylin goes home with Yen and asks about Jia's statement. Yen explains everything. Alone, Hua recalls a past memory. It was raining when Jia brought him an umbrella. He confessed his feelings, and she accepted, marking the start of their love story. In the present, Shin approaches Hua. He confronts her about lying in court. She admits she only lied about the contraceptives, but insists everything else was true. Yen and Maylin arrive as she explains that she trusted Fong that night because he had seen her condition and stopped her. After vomiting, Maylin became normal and communicative. Shin slept for an hour, then checked Maylin's message and felt reassured. She shows her phone as proof of honesty. Hua asks why she changed her statement. She admits that after that night, nightmares haunted her, and she blamed herself for leaving Maylin's brother alone and working a low-paying job. She confesses to being slightly selfish, but says it helped her cope. She apologizes to everyone. Maylin reassures her, saying she is not a bad person and encourages her to live well. She kneels in apology. Maylin cries and leaves. On their way, Hua questions why they are leaving despite Shin's lie. Maylin apologizes for causing trouble in his life and insists the matter ends here. Everyone has endured enough. She refuses a second hearing, focusing instead on continuing her life. Yen promises to stay by her side. Later, Yen brings soup to a tired Maylin. He receives a call from Jian about a customer needing car repair. While Yen works, Jian deletes a photo from his phone. Afterwards, Yan's mother calls, concerned about Hua, who has become obsessed with justice for Maylin, neither eating nor sleeping. Yan reassures her that Maylin is only tired. Maylin's mother worries and buys apples, insisting the family move on quickly. At the market, a woman named Yao criticizes her about Maylin's case. Angrily, she throws apples and fights Yao. Yan and Dad intervene. She defends Maylin's reputation, highlighting her accomplishments and insisting justice must be upheld. At home, Dad questions her public confrontation. She explains that she cannot ignore what happened to Maylin while Fong walks free. Yen discusses selling his shop with Jian and confirms moving with Maylin the first week of next month. Maylin says they will occasionally visit Hua at home and eventually call her mother once settled. The next day, Malin makes breakfast while watching Fong's live stream. Yen stops the video and notices her dark circles, asking if she slept properly. Malin assures him she did. He reminds her that soon they will move to a new city to start fresh. Jin deliberately blocks Ning's car to question her. Ning explains she is now finance director and still locked in at work. Jin asks about her connections to Fong and Melly. She says she has no private contact with Fong and is only a distant relative of Melly. Nervous from rumors about helping Fong, she quickly leaves. Jin tells Liang that Ning is hiding something. That night, Malin gives Yen milk before he sleeps. The next morning, Yen reminds Malin they need to view a house in another city. Malin mentions her mother needs soup, which will take hours to prepare, so he goes alone, trusting his decision. On the way, Yen calls Ming about the car tank, and later receives a delivery notice. But Malin is unreachable. Worried, he returns home, finding her absent and the kitchen unprepared. Hua confirms Malin is not in the hospital. Later, Jin and Li Na see Fong and Ning together. Following a call, Jin finds Malin at the location. She explains she came to retrieve items and leaves. At home, Yen notices her dirty clothes. She lies that she went to the hospital. That night, Malin gives Yen milk, which he secretly discards. She checks if he is asleep, then leaves to wait outside a warehouse. Fong arrives and starts gambling inside. Malin watches before returning home quietly. Yen notices her cold body, and she explains she went outside to read. He reminds her they will move to a new city next month to start fresh. Malin reflects that their future will be good. Meanwhile, Fong returns home. Shin confronts him about money he lost gambling. Fong claims he was under stress and promises to earn more. Shin angrily reminds him the money was for Yuang's education. They argue physically, and Fong restrains her, warning her to keep the video evidence safe. Shin retreats to her room, crying. The next day, Fong, Shin, and Yuang have breakfast. The tension clear. Malin and Yen go grocery shopping and stand under the rain before holding hands and walking together. At the hospital, Jia delivers a fruit basket for Malin's mother, who is cared for attentively. Malin helps her mother practice walking, and they are eventually discharged. Later, Yen and Malin eat together. Malin expresses a wish to meet her high school Chinese teacher, Mr. Han, who helped her complete senior year through donation. Yen promises they will thank him together once he earns more. The next morning, holding Yan's hand, Malin tells him he shouldn't live just for her. She feels she has pulled him down by forcing him to move and work for her sake. Yen reassures her that couples face challenges together. Malin suddenly lets go of his hand, admitting she thinks too much. Malin continues watching Fong secretly, tracking his movements and noting details in her diary. She books tickets for Wednesday, and Yen discovers her investigation, reading the diary at night and crying. The next day, on the terrace, Yen asks what she wants to do. Malin says she just wants to relax and mentions her upcoming trip to Guangzhou. He reassures her and asks about meeting Han, which she says will be tomorrow. The following day, they visit Han, who praises Malin's maturity. They meet Han's wife, cook, and share a meal. Han asks about her difficult life. Yen avoids discussing it. Han advises Malin to support Yen and focus on her future. Looking at school photos, Yen recognizes Malin in a group picture and wants to visit her school. At school, Malin shows him her classroom and recalls being a top student. Yen asks if she can stay there for his birthday. She mentions the tickets she booked, but agrees to celebrate with him first. That night, Malin secretly checks the warehouse where Fong is gambling, hiding a bag. After she leaves, Yen inspects it, finding a hammer and knife, and disposes of it in the river. He returns home before Malin, and she quietly joins him later. At the graveyard the next day, Yen thanks Malin, saying she is his remaining family and keeps him from feeling alone. Malin responds that someday, this graveyard will also be hers. Malin asks Hua if he came for her. He confirms, showing his phone and assuring her he isn't recording. He explains he has been investigating the Malin incident for a long time and asks if she is okay. Malin says it's too late. She had been waiting for him for days, but she trusts him, and he should stop asking. Hua asks if she considers herself good or bad. She replies that he already thinks she is bad, but he insists she is Jia and can never be a bad person. Jiashu admits she was the last person Malin saw. She lied to prove Malin's innocence and help send Fong to jail. She explains that even if she weren't the victim, she would have been blamed, as people judged her clothes and past relationships. Hua asks about the contraceptives. She exclaims, Should I die for this? She admits her lie changed the court's decision. Scared and trolled online, she felt it was safer to be seen as a bad person than a good one. Hua asks if it hurts her inside. Malin acknowledges it does and explains she gained courage only when someone admitted she was bad. Hua tells her she should accept mistakes and move forward. Malin asks to be treated like a human. He says she made everything easier and that, although she should have reported it, he understands because he is human too. Later, Yen drives Malin to the station. Holding her hand, he tells her his birthday wish, that Malin is always safe and happy. She leaves, making Hua emotional. Meanwhile, Li Na follows, covering her face. Jin visits Malin's teacher, Han, who recalls Yan's past. Yan had been a rebellious student, skipping classes and associating with troublemakers. Han scolded him, but Yan changed after being inspired by Malin, who had helped at her family stall and impressed him with her character. Yan loved Malin from school, though they spoke little. After losing his father and brother and being abandoned by his mother, he stayed in class silently and eventually dropped out. He even donated money for Malin's study, seeing her not just as a love interest, but as a guiding light in his life. Meanwhile, instead of going to Guangzhou, Malin is about to get off at Yuan Station. Yen calls, telling her not to get off because Li Na is following her and instructs her to go to Guangzhou. He says he left a letter in her bag to be burned after reading. She asks if he knew her plan. He insists she not return or get involved, and she promises to follow his instruction. In the letter, Yen explains that he knew she would go to Yuan and struggled with whether to confront Fong. He decided her life was more important than his own. He recalls walking under the same umbrella 12 years ago, hoping she would have a good life. He recounts working hard after leaving school, checking on her academic progress, and calling her just to hear her voice. Meeting her later at the car repair shop, he was overjoyed, but also distressed seeing her unhappy. He admits he gave her divorce papers because he could not accept her suffering and felt powerless, emphasizing that her well-being has always been his priority. Malin cries after reading Yan's letter. Li Na informs her that Jin wants to speak. Jin asks if she planned to kill Fong and where Yan has gone. He reminds her that Yen donated money for her study, the compensation from her father's death, and almost gave half his life for her. He asks if she will let him throw away the rest. Malin gives the address of a power plant outside the city and instructs Jin to call Fong to keep him away from the casino. She also calls Hua, informing him that Yen is heading to Fong. Hua and Jia set out. Jin tries contacting Fong, but he is driving and doesn't hear the call. In the car, Malin reads Yan's letter aloud. He explains how his feelings for her grew over time, how people misjudge him as weak, and how she should always remember someone loves her deeply. Meanwhile, Fong arrives at the location with a bag. Yan collides with Fong's car on his bike, scattering the money. Fong tries to flee, but Yan attacks him relentlessly. Inside, Fong warns others that Yan is causing trouble, but Yan continues, even as others beat him. He only cares about Fong. Fong begs for mercy, admitting his wrongdoings. He raped Malin, gave her drugs, and tried to bribe her to silence her. Yen demands Fong apologize to Malin, which he does, admitting all his crime. Yen declares that Fong deserves death, but the police arrive just before he can act. Jin tells Yen that Malin asked him to deliver a message, urging him to stop. Yen refuses, but Jin explains that the case will reopen, justice will be served, and Malin is waiting. Yen hesitates, realizing that justice can also come through legal channels. Malin arrives and takes Yan's hand. She tells him that one incident should not destroy her life. She admits she had wanted to kill Fong, but seeing Yen risk himself made her realize it wasn't worth it. She cannot take the rest of his life for justice. He already gave her half. She needs him alive, and together they can change their fate. Yen recalls asking her if they could change their fate, and she said yes. Yen lets Fong go. As he is arrested for attempted murder, Malin shouts for him to take care, promising to wait for his return. Outside the police station, Jin and Li Na reassure Malin. Jin explains that the court will determine whether it was intentional murder or injury, and that once Fong's medical report is out, justice will be served. Li Na adds that the drug dealer's records are being tracked, and evidence will soon be secured. Malin thanks them and leaves, confident that justice will prevail. Shin searches Fong's computer and finds a hidden folder containing incriminating photos and videos. Shocked, she cries and transfers them to her USB drive. Meanwhile, Malin receives a message from Chan, a content creator who wants to interview her. Malin agrees. At home, the family eats together. Mom asks about Yen, who lies that he is busy. Dad asks about Malin's accountant exam. She says she won't take it and has decided to learn trading. That night, while talking to Hua, Malin reflects on her complicated feelings toward her parents, simultaneously loving and resenting them, and says she has learned to separate good and bad in people. She explains that mistakes don't make someone inherently bad, change does. Hua asks about Jia. Malin believes she can change. The next day, Chan interviews Malin while Jia watches. Malin explains how the incident changed her life. Her family initially prevented her from going to the police. She gained courage to report later, and society often blames victims instead of perpetrators. She emphasizes that girls like her should stand up for justice and not back down. Inspired, other girls show support. Anjia calls Li Na, deciding to report her past deception. Fong searches his computer for the hidden folder, but finds it empty. Shin confronts him. She has deleted and copied the files to the police. Fong tries to strangle her, but she warns that he cannot escape justice. At the police station, Li Na informs Shin that Jia has admitted her false testimony. Shin also provides ample evidence against Fong. Rain informs Malin that the case will be retried. Hua is thrilled at the new evidence, suspecting Jia's change. Jia leaves the police station alone, telling Hua she will go herself. Li Na and Jin take Ning from his company to the station for questioning. At home, a dress delivery arrives for Malin, customized by Yen, fulfilling his promise if she won the case. On the day of the hearing, she wears the dress. Outside the court, supporters, former victims who once stayed silent, stand with her, motivating her deeply. Inside, Malin sees Hua and expresses relief he is representing her again. Han emphasizes that while everyone has the right to defense, the truth cannot be suppressed. Jia testifies that she lied in the first hearing out of fear, depression, and online trolling. She admits giving Malin contraceptives that day. Next, Shin testifies. She explains that she initially tried to protect Fong, believing him a good father and husband, but later discovered his crimes against other women. She felt responsible for protecting him and realizes now that she must stand against him to prevent further harm. She has handed all evidence to the police and seeks leniency from the court for her past mistakes for her daughter's sake. Ning is called to testify. She reveals she was also a victim of Fong. Initially, Fong seemed kind, but during a gathering, he got drunk and confessed his unhappiness. She trusted him, but he assaulted her in a hotel, choking her and pulling her hair. Terrified, she initially considered going to the police, but stayed silent. Fong later treated her well at work, giving her promotions and a higher salary, which made her trust him again. Eventually, she realized his abusive patterns had returned. Ning explains that hiding Fong's actions hurt only herself. Fong angrily protests, claiming they were ordinary lovers. Malin is then called. She explains why she didn't go to the police initially. She had never faced such situations. Her family advised against it, and she was terrified. But when she resolved to fight, she faced many difficulties yet persisted, supported by many. The judge reviews all evidence and delivers the verdict. Fong is sentenced to 16 years in prison. Yen, hearing the verdict from jail, is overjoyed. The police take Fong away while the other victims demand apologies, and Fong complies. Yen receives a 2-year sentence for attempted murder. 3 years later, Malin and Yen visit her family's home. Everyone is preparing to move. Malin and Yen are happy, planning to relocate after Chinese New Year. They assure her parents they will stay in touch. Yen hasn't yet decided whether to reopen his car repair shop, wanting to explore new opportunities. Hua meets Jia at a restaurant after a long time. They catch up, congratulating each other on life and work, and share lunch together. As Malin and Yen move to their new city, her family sees them off. Malin reflects on her rebirth and a life free from the past, holding a class photo as a memory. In their new life, Malin stands by a lake while Yen arrives on a boat, having caught fish for her. Malin is pregnant, and together they open a restaurant, beloved by customers. One reads a quote, "There is no pain you cannot overcome, no disappointment you cannot endure." Yen proudly introduces Malin as his wife. When asked about a name for their baby, Malin chooses Yuchan. With that, our drama story ends here. So guys, that was today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next interesting drama. Goodbye.